I think it opened at 1.5.
Yeah, it opened at 1, and you can get it some places at 1.5. I mean, I just think it's almost, to me, isn't it? And isn't it really a pick'em?
Yeah.
You know, when it's a number like that, 1.5, that to me is feels like a pick'em. I'm not the gambling expert.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of shifted where you no longer get 3 points for hosting the game. So and then the other game, I think it's 5.5.
Yeah. It opened at 6, and now Philly's minus 5.5.
Yeah.
Which this will be the third time they'll be meeting this season. They split the 2 games, Philadelphia and Washington. I don't know, man. I'm telling you, Washington's good.
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels is good. You know, the other thing I really like about Jaden Daniels, too, his ability to run. And they utilize him. They utilize him as a runner.
Well, it gives you a little glimpse into what the future can be here.
Oh, yeah, for Drake May. Yeah.
And quick turnaround.
Yeah. And that's the thing that I'm excited about when you start to look at. And it was interesting that you bring this up, because I would have loved to have been on this morning and talk to Boomer, because there was one thing that stood out in that interview between you and him was the coaches with experience. And you're big on that.
Yeah.
But he leaned towards what Ben Johnson, he gave him a pass. And I'm like, why? What makes Ben Johnson any different than any other coach that this is his first time with no experience? Because, when you start to see what Dan Quinn is able to do at Washington, his second go-around, it gives me good hope for Vrabel and his second go-around. But then it goes back to how successful are those first-year head coaches. He brought up Aaron Glenn, who I was a teammate of. He obviously brought up Ben Johnson, but he gave an exception for Ben Johnson. I'm like, well, what has Ben Johnson done besides being a knucklehead and running a reverse on the goal line, which lost you a bunch of yards? And then, I'm kind of busting his balls a little bit.
Well, that's who Scheim wanted, though.
Right, but what has he done in that world of?
Well, I just think it's you agree with it, so I won't. I stand in opposition to you when it comes to basically blowing off defense as a part of the NFL game at all, and the over reliance on offense. I think that's why. If you look at the Raiders, and it seems like it's almost a done deal that he's going to be the next head coach there.
Right.
That to me is a risky proposition, because you have so much to do with that football team. And so you got a guy who has no experience as a head coach. He's got to figure out who his quarterback is. He's got that organization needs an entire reboot. So that to me is why I don't get that excited about Ben Johnson, because he hasn't done it before.
And to Greg's point, defense is so important, because if you look at the games that happened this past weekend and you look at the most total yards in each of the matchup, the teams with the most total yards were the ones that lost. It was the teams that successfully benefited off turnovers. So it really was defense that won those games over the weekend. So Greg's right. People put too much of an emphasis on offense, but at the same time, when it comes to Scheim and his obsession with Ben Johnson, and I don't mean to speak for Scheim, but it did seem like he just wanted Ben Johnson to benefit Drake May. But I believe Mike Vrabel, and I trust Mike Vrabel, is going to put a perfect OC in place for Drake May. I also stand by that I believe that it is Josh McDaniels, and it's already been decided weeks ago, even though he's interviewing other people.
Well, but the thing about when you start to look at it, and I agree, it's cool, defense, you need them to be opportunistic and make plays. But when you look at all these games over the weekends, I mean, think about it. It's Josh Allen, it's Lamar Jackson, it's Patrick Mahomes, it's C.J. Stroud, Jaden Daniels. It's about your offense.
Yeah, it's about your offensive line. When you look at the Eagles, that line is hitting, as you would say.
Yeah.
And that's been an issue here for quite some time.
Right, but when you look at the Washington Commanders, at the start of the season, your offense, and I get it's just projection. At the start of the season, you had a better offensive line, just projection. And I get you need to get guys in free agency and off, but it's really about, okay, if you have an average offensive line or a little bit above average, and then you have quarterbacks that can make plays, you have talented, wide receivers, you have talent like Philadelphia. They have a good offensive line. But how much of that is you have Saquon, right? Look at what he's been able to do for that organization. And he was a guy that was available. Same with Derrick Henry and what he's been able to do. You start to look at the offenses, and that's why when I look at Vrabel, I look at it more of the blueprint of like the Commanders. You have the young, talented, it looks like quarterback franchise kid in Drake May. Build around him, get him pieces, and then maybe your defense might not be like as good, but as long as you're coached well enough where you're able to make those opportunistic plays and create turnovers or get sacks. Like look at the Rams defense. They're able to get sacks. They're able to put pressure on the quarterback. Like, so if you're able to do some of those things and you got that type of offense, you're right back in the mix. Right back in the mix of things.
I need Buffalo to go out there and win that game, though.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough, though. It is Buffalo against everybody, but it's Mahomes is just so. Did you see that touchdown pass he threw to Kelly? He's falling down.
Yes.
He is so good. And
I also don't think it's Buffalo against everybody. I think most people want Buffalo to win. I think it's Kansas City against everybody.
No, but
I'm talking about
I'm talking about the referees, right? But Mahomes is so good, and so even if the refs help them a little bit, you gotta then make sure, Kelsey can't be in the middle of the field wide open by himself because Mahomes is gonna make so many plays. He's so good at being able to extend plays and make things happen, and that's why. Listen, I think Josh Allen is playing tremendous, but I ain't, like I told you, I'm not betting against Mahomes because I know one guy can do it, and the other one hasn't proven yet. Even you brought up Boomer's point, right? The throw, maybe it's a little bit off that he throws to Mark Andrews, but Mark Andrews still got to catch it, and part of it is because all that pressure's on the line. A guy like Mahomes doesn't do that. And until you can beat Mahomes, I wouldn't bet against them. I'm not going to do it.
But it's going to be infuriating if there's more of the same when it comes to giving them every single call.
Yeah, that's going to be part of it. You already know they're going to get at least one roughing the passer call that you're like, I don't really know about that one. Like, what's going on? So he's going to do that. He's going to flop. He's going to do those things. Boomer talked about it. And so you, as a defense, you got to try your best, and I know it's difficult, to, when the ball's released, try your best not to even touch him after he throws it. But you're going to have to be able to overcome those things. That's what Bill would tell us. Hey, we're going to have to overcome those things. We're going to have to make sure that we're doing all the things that we need to do to be able to overcome those things. It's going to be a great. I think it's the perfect matchup. I wonder what most people wanted to see. Did they?
Well, what they wanted to see with these four teams?
No, did you want to see Bills Chiefs or Bills Ravens?
I wanted to see Bills Chiefs because I think Josh Allen gives. Scheim loves Lamar, as do you. I just think Josh Allen gives them a better chance. It gives somebody a better chance of beating the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay. Courtney?
Yeah, I wanted Bills Chiefs, yeah.
All right. I can rock with that.
Why you wanted Ravens Chiefs?
No, I think that offensively, the only issue that the Ravens give a little bit more than the Bills is because of the Derrick Henry factor. You know what I mean? I know James Cook is good, but the rushing edge, the running attack is a little, but I think, it's Boomer said that Lamar MVP. and I probably agree with him. Yeah, but Josh Allen's good, man. I don't know.
Well, I think you have to give it to Lamar, though, because when he dominated in both phases of the game, offense-wise, throwing the ball and running the ball. I mean, right,
but he didn't make the. It's interesting because I feel like
they lead the league in both when it comes to yards per play.
Right,
when it comes
but he
to,
didn't
when it
make
comes to
Josh
their
Allen
quarterback.
didn't make the mistake that Lamar made when it came to the interception and being sloppy with the football.
Yeah, but that game doesn't matter. Like that game, playoffs don't figure when it comes to MVP.
Right. So no. What I'm saying is, I don't think Josh Allen does that against the Chiefs. Lamar still has that window of making some of those sloppy mistakes where Josh Allen is cleaned up on that. Like that used to be Josh Allen, like, trying to force balls in it. And I think that's the edge that Josh Allen has that gives the Bills a little bit better chance to win if it was rather than Baltimore, because Josh is not making some of those same bad decisions.
Also, this argument that the same was true for Tom Brady when it came to getting the calls that Mahomes is getting, I don't agree with.
I agree with that.
You do?
Yeah, I think Brady had that.
It wasn't as egregious, and there's no way. Tom Brady never flopped. Like I'm sorry.
He didn't run like.
I will play the role of Chris Curtis right now since he's not here today. Tom Brady was not wasn't diving into the bench to try to get a call. Like, give me a break.
But he didn't run like Brady didn't run like Josh. I mean, not Josh, but Patrick Mahomes. But Brady still got the calls. I mean, there are plenty of people throughout the country that would look at New England and go, "Oh, it's New England's get the calls. Brady you get near him. It's a penalty." That kind of. So, I mean, that's par for the course. I get it. When we were dominating, and you got a guy like Brady, I mean, Boomer doesn't like it, but that's kind of how the league works, right?